This is Sybert signing into Kane's Wrath on the map Smashed Dustbowl. In the north, we have the orange Scrin player representing himself. This is Phoenix, aka Steve Nash, and in the south, the purple Scrin player. That's right, it's a Scrin mirror matchup. We have perhaps the king of the Scrin faction. This is MasterLeaf. He might have to fight Unleashed for that title, but I mean, he's not Traveler 59, but he's still opening up with that Descent Rush, so I guess good on him. Of course, this being, actually I'm assuming this is a random v random mirror, but this also being, you know, Smashed Dustbowl, spikes are a little bit less pokery, a little bit less of a random chance as far as each player is concerned. But in a Scrin mirror, not one of those matchups that we see all too often. Of course, it's statistically pretty unlikely. But, or I guess any mirror matchup when both players are playing random is statistically unlikely, and any particular mirror matchup is even less so. But it's one of those things that, you know, maybe Phoenix isn't quite as familiar with Scrin or as good at playing Scrin as he is with the other factions. And maybe in this case, that might give a bit of an advantage to MasterLeaf, who's a bit more known for playing as a Scrin faction. Descent's going to be getting torn up a little bit there, but ultimately they will come out ahead over just those 3 buzzer squads. And for now, they're going to be able to push in here and get a bit of damage done, although, of course, he has to be very careful about any buzzer hives getting planted down because they will shred through his descents. It's all about trying to find a good angle to move in with your descents to be able to capitalize on those harvesters. And this might be the only real opportunity that he has. Phoenix has bought enough time to get out a Gunwalker, which paired up with that buzzer hive, or I guess now just the buzzer, will buy him enough time to push back those descents and secure himself that nice expansion. Sniping down the tib spike would be nice if he can manage to get it, but this Gunwalker needs to make sure that he doesn't step too far forward. Descent's going to snipe down the buzzer, and now the Gunwalker is exposed, gets it completely killed there. And that's, of course, the problem with all of the, you know, sort of early, the tier 1 vehicle anti-infantry that each faction has. If you let the Descents get too close, they will just shred you. Unless it's just, you know, like one half-dead Descent squad. But in this particular case, he gets a tib spike, and MasterLeaf also kills a Gunwalker, which is quite nice. He should also be able to kill off this buzzer squad, as long as he doesn't just let it run him over. And he's going to force out at least one more buzzer hive, probably another Gunwalker as well. Phoenix, on the other hand, he's up to that 6 harvester count. You're going to be transferring 1 over to that refinery, while it's straight to tier 2. And is this going to be for some sort of lightning spike shenanigans? It could be, although he does have his mothership core, or his drone ship picked up to move over to that expansion. So may just be holding off on that aggression for a couple more moments. First refinery is now down at the expansion, so a good bit ahead on that 2-base eco is our friend, oh, well, there's the lightning spike now, is our friend Phoenix. He's going to be, you know, just that little bit ahead. 1-base saturation is up and running for MasterLeaf, but of course he has yet to even start his second refinery. He does now have dev tanks going to be pushing out across the map. Not exactly a dev tank rush, which I know some players were somewhat known for in the past, and other players had some problems with those dev tank rushes. But this is just straight up streaming, you know, now up to 3 or 4 dev tanks across the map. Most likely going to be charging up on that blue Tiberium on the way to their opponent's base, and MasterLeaf may be able to snipe down a couple of harvesters. Scrin Dev Tank Wars, kind of like the Scorpion Tank Wars for Scrin v Scrin, or, you know, Pred Tank Wars or Pitbull Wars if it's GDI mirror. And in this particular case, the numbers might just be on MasterLeaf's side, especially with this lightning spike adding that extra bit of DPS. He's going to be able to snipe down 1 harvester for sure, but there's the lightning spike now showing up for Steve Nash. He's going to be able to take down at least one of the dev tanks. The micro is not fast enough from MasterLeaf to actually pull back the severely weakened dev tank before it goes down. He has started to work through the dev tanks of his opponent, and now MasterLeaf is recharging his dev tanks. He's going to be keeping this Gunwalker out of the fight. Not that it would be doing all that much anyways, but man, look at that. Even with mostly dead Descent squads, he still has enough to get the kill on one of those Gunwalkers once he gets within close range. And the Storm Column going to be coming down, putting out that extra hurt on the dev tanks as they're forced to back away. The first Annihilator tripod is now out. MasterLeaf taking virtually no damage for the entirety of this game. He's lost a couple of descent squads, a couple of dev tanks here and there, but he's mostly just been putting the hurt out on Phoenix, and Phoenix also has lost that Tib Spike. A couple of dev tanks still scattered around the map. MasterLeaf needs to make sure that he doesn't forget about them, as that could be a bit problematic in the later stages if he's just got random units that he actually needs for the fight. If he's just got them scattered around the map, rather. Up to that 2-base saturation, or just about nearly, is MasterLeaf as he uses up all of the Tiberium in his main field, transitioning into the Stasis Chamber as well. Could be getting blank packs, or I guess Plasma Disc Launchers would also be a good choice, as the Gravity Stabilizer going to be coming down. I don't think he's actually at Tier 3 just yet. So he's not going to be going for Devastator warships quite yet. He's not moving into that artillery range, but he is going to be most likely potentially looking for 8 Storm Riders, as if you can hit with 8 when your opponent isn't expecting it, that is a powerful force. He is going to be looking to potentially shut down any Annihilator tripods that are out on the map, as in the north, Dev Tank going to be getting shut down. The Corruptor will also be getting annihilated, as those Mechapeds are just a bit too much damage output. And actually, kind of a surprising move, not moving his drone ship, potentially just deciding to keep it around with the tech up while he also builds the outpost to go and expand so he can keep his drone ship at home, doesn't have to risk it being out on the map. Blink packs and Plasma Disc Launchers are both purchased for MasterLeaf. He's going to be able to shut down this expansion potentially before it actually drops anything else to kind of create that build radius. And nope, they're both refineries do end up going down, which is, if MasterLeaf was paying attention, he would have realized that there is indeed 2 refineries going down, and he'd be like, oh, okay, so you do either have a crane or 2 MCVs, and in this case, it is that crane. And wow, MasterLeaf really wants to kill these Mechapeds. He's holding all of his Storm Riders here. He's not using them for any sort of attack, and he's got them almost completely surrounded. FaZe does fire off, making that lightning spike a little bit of an awkward choice in this particular situation, but Mechaped's going to be scooting on away, and up against the Storm Column, Storm Riders, they can take a fair bit of damage, but he does have to be careful. MasterLeaf going to be heading over to the expansion where the Plasma Missile Battery is going down. 2 of them established to try to deal with the incoming attacks, as Mechaped's going to be also not quite out of that phase just yet. MasterLeaf going to be pushing forward. Shock Troopers going to be eating through some of these Gunwalkers as they come out one at a time. Phase field should be wearing off in a couple more seconds, as right there it does come off, and this army is going to be pushed back. Storm Riders not really doing as much as MasterLeaf would have liked. MasterLeaf now going to be establishing that 3rd refinery. He's had it up for a couple of seconds now, and MasterLeaf doesn't quite have the eco that his opponent does, but there, he's not exactly had a free time harvesting all of his Tiberium Phoenix, so he's, a little bit further behind than he would like to be. Still actually hasn't harvested all of his main field, which is a bit unfortunate. And MasterLeaf did sell off previously both of his refineries, so he has actually rebuilt one of them. Is going to be able to start harvesting that main green Tiberium field. And this one tripod actually sneaking around the back of MasterLeaf's base, kind of a surprising choice, but one of those moves that can be very, very powerful if he's able to shut down enough of these power plants. And it would be a bit more potent if Steve Nash was actually doing something else, like, pressuring up here, then, you can potentially shut down base defenses, or you can just double those production times so the army comes out that much more slowly. But in this particular case, I don't know that that tripod actually did very much good. He, literally killed 1 power plant, which is a bit annoying. Don't get me wrong. It is a bit annoying for sure, but I just don't know if it's exactly what he would have wanted. Gunwalkers and Shock Troopers. I kept wanting to call them Stormtroopers, but that's a little bit of a different franchise that actually utilizes Stormtroopers. MasterLeaf, he's going to have a hard time actually breaking that position with that many Gunwalkers there just ready and waiting. He might have a slightly easier time breaking that 3rd expansion, as he is going to be pushing in there. The Corruptors are going to be the real damage dealers he has to deal with, as just a couple of them here could end up shutting down his heavy infantry party with the help of a couple of Buzzer Hives, which I assume would be on the way. Dev Tank's going to be pushing forward. They will be able to tear through these Gunwalkers, and they're going to keep on assaulting forward. I don't know if they're going to be able to deal with whatever reinforcements come out of Phoenix, but for now, MasterLeaf is going to be pushing forward at that main and potentially also the third. Nope! Those Storm Riders getting shut down super hard as the Plasma Missile Battery is just going to be absolutely annihilating them. Buzzer Hive, maybe not the most important target, but MasterLeaf is trying to get into a better position to start assaulting the more important units and structures as he's going to be moving forward. Actually, is that a fully heroic Descent Squad? It is indeed going to be going for those Buzzer Hives and also the Plasma Missile Batteries, trying to make something happen, while in the north, tripods with force field generators now purchased, going to be stepping forward, adding that bit of armor to this army so he can push back MasterLeaf as... Wow, this was a lot of descents, but now it's been severely reduced. Those Buzzer Hives are doing absolutely the work that they needed to deal with that attack. MasterLeaf being pushed back on two fronts. He's still got this field to work off of, but he's really just going to be sitting on kind of an awkward long-distance mining economy. He could go for a couple more harvesters just to even up that saturation, but Steve Nash, being a bit more free in this particular case, does need to get his eco rolling back on this main field. And for now, he's just looking to double pump some units, but is he actually going to be going up to the hexapod? Because I would assume that by now we would have seen a hexapod from one of these guys, or at least an Eradicator facility. I guess a warp chasm is what it's technically called, but, you know, Eradicator facility, whatever. An Eradicator den, if you will, I would assume would be on the way. But for now, it's just going to be the double warp sphere for Phoenix. He's going to be looking for that potentially double tripod production, although Mechapedes wouldn't be a bad choice either. Gunwalkers and dev tanks may not be able to break this position too easily with so few numbers. And MasterLeaf once again trying to push forward with a couple of descent squads, but they're so easily stopped by these Buzzer Hives, and Steve Nash can drop them down quite a bit. I need to decide whether I want to call him Steve Nash or Phoenix. But I guess Phoenix is what he currently wants to be known as. So Phoenix going to have to deal with this attack, pushing in. MasterLeaf does now have his Warp Chasm up and ready. Going to be pumping out that Eradicator Hexapod, which will be a little bit late to the party, but it will most likely be the reinforcements to this army. Annihilator tripods do need to be kept alive by Phoenix, so he can potentially EMP that Eradicator Hexapod as the audio cue plays out. He should now be aware of, although potentially he's just playing some music. He's going to be sacrificing quite a few of those descent squads, which that extra DPS would have been nice to have. But of course, descents are relatively cheap, and he can pump them out from that portal relatively quickly. There's the blink forward as it steps onto the front lines, and then Mastermind doing its job to bring the reinforcements quickly to the front lines, and MasterLeaf now has that super tank ability to step on forward. Mastermind going to be stepping forward, could end up getting shut down by those shard mechas as it gets totally completely killed. Stasis Chamber going to be locking down a few of the dev tanks, but he misses the Eradicator Hexapod, so not all of the DPS of the army is shut down by MasterLeaf. He's also going to be potentially pushing in on the left front. Instead, he's just going to be continuing to focus the majority of his army efforts over here in the north, while Steve Nash not quite able to really hold off the defense. Both players' phase field going to be, or stasis chamber going to be ending right there. There's the phase on the tripod as it steps forward to get the crush on two dev tanks. Could it get a third or a fourth? Well, potentially, as they're glitching out a little bit there. The pathing not the best as they're trying to get around that Eradicator Hexapod. One tripod end up going down, but there's still three more here to repeat EMP that Eradicator Hexapod as the last of the dev tanks fall. This could be it. Nope. It could have been it for the Eradicator Hexapod, but you know, phase field, pretty good, pretty skillful ability there, as you can see. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Of course, he can just walk out of this if he wants to. MasterLeaf going for the sick plays. Yeah, that all Scrin players, you know, you got those special abilities, so you might as well use them. There's the repeat EMPs going to be firing off these two Annihilator tripods, doing what they can to break down that Eradicator Hexapod. Pretty soon, phase field should be worn off, and then that Eradicator Hexapod will actually be killable. MasterLeaf potentially the one using that blue Tiberium. Going to be just getting that extra bit of income. 6 Annihilator tripods going to be surrounding this Eradicator hexapod. I guess there's a potential where it comes unfazed and then it just steps forward and crushes pretty much all of those tripods, which would be pretty crazy. But there's the repeat EMPs, as now it goes down. The Eradicator hexapod completely eradicated from this match, and no 6, I guess 7, not 6, but probably 7 of these tripods going to be moving on forward. Maybe it's 8. I can't actually count, but quite a few, as planetary assault carriers going to be morphing their ways across the map. And I mean, not often do you see a fleet of planetary assault carriers, as MasterLeaf is like, well, I got, you know, just so much money to burn, just to absolutely use right here, right now. Is that, let's see, 6, I guess 8? 8 plus 2 Devastator warships, and then a Mastermind from Phoenix. Tried to do something, but of course he wasn't really able to do all that much, as planetary assault carriers, or packs, just tore that down. 1 Gunwalker and 1 Lightning Spike, kind of surprisingly starting to break through the forces and the defenses of MasterLeaf, as Plasma Missile Battery is going to be taking a little bit of damage, but really the Devastator warships are going to be the ones dealing with those, as I think it's like 3 Devastator warships currently out on the front lines. One of them is about to go down. It gets eliminated there. Gunwalkers trying to step forward to deal with this army, but they're getting snatched up by these planetary assault carriers. And as you can see, the drones from the planetary assault carriers are going to start taking a fair bit of damage, which will reduce the overall DPS of MasterLeaf's army. And this army of tripods actually going to be moving in for Phoenix. Can that Mothership Core actually get off the ground? Yes, the drone ship will be able to escape, and for now it will be in the air. He's trying to run away from the tripods, but everything else is being absolutely laid waste to, as the base, the third base of Phoenix, is also going to be getting pretty trashed. He does still have his first 2 bases. The last power plant for MasterLeaf is going to be falling, and these Annihilator tripods just moving on forward. There's not a whole lot here left for MasterLeaf. If it comes down to a base race scenario, I would say Phoenix definitely has a pretty big advantage here. He's got far more structures that have to be destroyed. But of course, oh, another drone ship going to be popping out. That'll make it a bit harder for Phoenix to actually deal with these drone ships. So if MasterLeaf is able to keep both of those drone ships alive long enough, and if Phoenix is not actually able to get out anything to shoot down those drone ships, which he doesn't really seem to be producing anything at this point. He's got 2 drone ships himself, but he's not actually producing anything to really take down the drone ships of his opponent, which is a bit of a problem if he wants to actually survive in this game, because as you can see, these drone ships are just going to be floating to the corners of the map. And then Annihilator Tripod's going to have a bit of trouble, I guess you could say, actually trying to, aim their lasers up to shoot at those drone ships. 1 drone ship going down. Phoenix, I would say he needs to get out of here, but there's not really much of a place for him to run, as these Devastator warships and planetary assault carriers going to be moving on forward. One of the drone ships actually getting captured by a Mastermind. Such a great play by Steve Nash. He's actually going to have a security deposit on one side of the map. Now, MasterLeaf just has to try to keep running and running with his own drone ship, as the planetary assault carrier is finishing off pretty much everything else on the other side of the map, and MasterLeaf's 1 drone ship that does remain is in a dangerous situation. And of course, Steve Nash could sell off this drone ship and then move to the other side of the map with that Mastermind to try to capture the other drone ship, or I guess he doesn't even need to sell it off, does he? But MasterLeaf trying to be, well, he's actually getting cornered by those Annihilator tripods. As where's the Mastermind? I'm not actually sure where it's gone in this map, but no, the recontrol of that drone ship. Did the Mastermind get taken out? No, it took the other drone ship on the other side of the map, so he decided to keep alive the drone ship, and now MasterLeaf is kind of in an awkward situation where he's actually going to be on top of these tripods, able to take them down with his planetary assault carriers. And Steve Nash may have made a bit of a critical mistake by not actually selling off this drone ship when he had the opportunity to. Instead, he's just going to have this drone ship, which is, I mean, it's going to be escaping for now, but if, oh no, if this Mastermind runs too close to MasterLeaf, then it's actually going to be getting completely taken out And MasterLeaf going to be tearing through these last couple of Annihilator tripods. It looks like there's about 4 out still on the map. Planetary Assault Carrier is going to be falling behind, but Drone Ship building a wall of power plants. Can he actually survive? I think he's going to be trying to snipe down that Mastermind wherever it went. It's down here in the south, as this Annihilator tripod is going to be stepping on top of that drone ship. MasterLeaf going to be losing pretty much everything here. I think this is it. MasterLeaf has one little something somewhere on the map. I don't actually know where it is. It's this power plant. That's it. MasterLeaf has been defeated. And in a moment of decisive action, Steve Nash takes the game. Phoenix will be taking that particular match in a very close race against MasterLeaf. A base race scenario, able to just barely edge out the win. And MasterLeaf ahead on eco for the majority of that game, but it didn't actually matter. It came down to the standing armies and just the plays, the decisions made by each player. And in this case, Phoenix was good enough to take home the win. A GG from both players. Thank you very much for watching, and of course, this is Sybert signing out.